Well, you can get some Bibles that actually have it in there, but for the most part, they don't really include it. So
Like
Yeah,
in the Catholic book, they have the Apocrypha in it. You know, they don't call it the Apocrypha.
That's
because
in the
it's
Old
original.
Testament, though.
Yeah, it's in the Old.
Yeah.
It's like the transition between the Old to the New Testament.
Why would they take such a pivotal book out? That doesn't make any sense.
Because there's things that incriminate them. You know,
That's
that
the
are in that
Templar,
book.
the Knights Templar edition.
So what is
So
it?
yeah, Masons
Yeah.
have something to do with it.
So
Right.
what? So what?
Well,
so
no,
what-
Knights
so what is
Templar.
Right.
Is a
It's
distinction.
a distinction. You're
Yeah,
right.
hold up. The Masons, hold up now. You
What is
can't,
the
you
way
can't
this y'all
put that on us.
talking
Come
about?
on now.
This is,
Oh, you're a Mason?
So,
No,
so what
I,
book you talking about?
technically I'm a
coming from the
grandfather
Bible.
then.
I know. I said what
So
what
I
chapter?
can claim
This
it
is,
if I would like to, but
we come from the whole book.
I'm not
the whole
part of
the whole book
affiliation. My
is the Son of the
grandfather was-
Most High.
Right, I know,
He
but
was a
what's
three-time
the,
Grand
What
Wizard.
are you looking at? I mean,
So
so
that
what are
means,
you trying to bring awareness about?
I'm a Mason as
The
well.
prophecies.
You know, I had
Right.
Okay.
It took me a minute to really
for me to understand that.
We is in the
And then when I
last
think
one.
about the work my grandmother did, she was a Eastern Star. So again, she rose to the 33rd degree, and she did not stop. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm grandmother then as well. So now I got two lines that coincides into one. Now I know where my line begins. You know, and that's all it is. My granddad, he designed he designed one of the first early cars. Yeah, I come from a long line of geniuses, literally. It's the craziest. Like, it's like when you can comprehend it, it's so like amazing. You know.
Okay, so let's see if you know, the Most High open your eyes to understand this book, or you be able to get the prophecies of this book, you know, for salvation. You know,
Of course.
this is can we get Revelation 19 and
19:1.
no, we're gonna get
That's what Kanye named the song. He named the song Revelations 19:1. You know, his Sunday Approach Church choir.
Yeah, but Kanye is off.
let's start at
He said he's
9,
awesome.
Revelation 19 and 9.
I think he's awesome. He is off a little bit.
All right, Mel, they say the story.
Right.
All right.
Hey, before, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, for teaching us this truth according to the Bible, in the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai.
I
Right?
said.
Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High, and the Lashon Kodash, the pure tongue, the pure language.
I
Or
said.
who the world would call Jesus Christ.
Yeah, God and Jesus Christ.
Right.
In 9.
Okay. This is Revelation chapter 19, verse 9. And he saith unto me, Right, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb.
And the call to the marriage supper of the Lamb is the Israelites that are drawn back to this word for salvation, right? That are married onto Yahweh Shai, which is coming back to the Heavenly Father because he cast away his people.
I'm going to read this verbatim.
God.
And he saith unto me, These are the true sayings of God. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, See thou do it not.
That's because John fell at the feet of the angel, right? To worship the angel. And the angel said, See thou do it not. We're not supposed to worship angels like Michelangelo and such like that, right?
I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. Worship God, for the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy.
The testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy, and that's what we're going in. Apostle Tahar named this year the year of prophecy. You know, we're going into the prophecies because that's what's gonna play out in the future. That's what makes our God show that He is real. You know, through His prophecies. You know.
I hear it.
So we're just gonna go into these prophecies. That's really it from there.
I
You
like
know?
it. I like it.
And we're just going into the current events with the coronavirus. You know. So we might as well get that article.
Yeah.
You know, get those articles. I'm gonna get some scriptures and such. Right? Because these things are real and they're happening
In real time.
in real time.
I'm going to start on this one real quick.
God.
This is CDC announces new plan to prevent further spread of coronavirus in U.S. San Antonio. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced in a news conference Friday that it is preparing to further contain the spread of the coronavirus or COVID-19 in the United States. While the risk of infection remains low, officials are not ruling out the worst case scenario. Nancy Messonnier, director for the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, said they are working with multiple health partners across the nation to slow the introduction of coronavirus in the United States. In Friday's phone conference, CDC leaders emphasized that the risk is low, but U.S. citizens should be prepared for further spread of COVID-19. Here's the main point. If you're watching the news, you may be hearing about schools shutting down and businesses closing in countries in Asia to reduce the potential spread of this virus. The day may come when we will need to implement such measures in the U.S. communities, Messonnier said. She said that currently officials are reviewing pandemic preparedness materials, including guidelines from the CDC's morbidity and mortality weekly report, community mitigation guidelines to prevent pandemic influenza in the United States. Messonnier said the 2017 report will act as a blueprint for future interventions. Next week, CDC plans to launch a new webpage to detail what officials are doing to mitigate transmission in U.S. communities. Messonnier said they recognize that there is a lot of uncertainty, but they are doing their best to provide the most accurate data. With 3 confirmed cases and dozens of people quarantined in San Antonio,
Doing pretty good.
could fears about coronavirus keep tourists from the Alamo City?
Right, and this is second Ezra. We're just gonna start at 15, right, and go down. It says, verse 1, "Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee, let not the incredulity, which is unbelief, of them trouble thee that speak against thee." So what we're doing is correct, you know, going and fearing the Lord and coming out here to prophesy. This is correct. This is what we're supposed to be doing. "For all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction." Right, and this is another way, because if you look at, can you look at the deaths for the coronavirus? You know, this plague was sent by the Heavenly Father. You know, and it's still spreading in those end times, in these end times. You know, while these other people, they're out here not understanding the end times and actually trying to live their life in this time. This is not the place to live your life, you know, because the kingdom is too close to try to establish something in this life, you know.
That's true. That's big.
It says, "Therefore saith the Lord, I will hold my tongue no more as touching their wickedness, which they profanely commit, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually." Right, and that's talking about of the Israelites that come back to this fold, right? You got that?
What year as far as numbers? Well, as far as what they're saying COVID-19 coronavirus. There's 154,000 cases in the world, and it says for the French health ministry, it says we are prepared for an epidemic in France. But for the most part, 154,000 cases, it has to be more than that. Because in China, you got the government locking people into their homes, like actually welding their homes shut, and lots of other things, like burning bodies just because they can't even give them a funeral because they don't want the disease to spread. So it's probably way more than 154,000. That's just the official number. So for the most part, they know that it's a pandemic. They know it's everywhere, and they're going to start doing measures, likely in the U.S. as well as around the world, to contain it.
All right, this is a good scripture. Back them up. Sirach 39 and start at 28, right? Because these plagues were sent by the Heavenly Father, right? And that's what people don't understand, that all this was ordained by the Heavenly Father in these end times, right? Getting in the times of Jacob's trouble, right? It says, "There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail, famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. So what these people, there's a reason why people die. That's what, can you get what whosoever perished, right? There's a reason why these people are dying the way they're dying, you know? It's because they disobeyed, they rebelled against the Heavenly Father, and now they have to pay for it, you know? It says, in the time, well, I'll start back at 28, it says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction, right? And that's the time. That's really the reason why there's gonna be a Jacob's trouble. Why there's gonna be America being destroyed according to the prophecies. You know, there's a reason why the Son of the Most High is coming back to take the kings out of power. You know, and set himself up. You know, there's a reason, because of the wickedness, right? God.
This is Job chapter 4 verse 7. Yes. Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off?
Right.
Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same.
God.
Right? So anybody that dies or whatnot, just because, you know, the wickedness they've done, they brought on themselves. But the thing is, everybody dies, so everybody's done wickedness. Right?
There's only one person that that died without doing any iniquity, you know, and he got raised back up. You know, there's a reason why it went like that. You know.
All right.
Hey, y'all Israelites, repent.
God bless you.
Oh, well.
We just don't normally shake hands only because
Yes,
it's a Roman custom.
Yes,
well.
of course, you know, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean, out of respect.
Right, no doubt.
Yes,
Hey, y'all have a blessed
stay
day.
blessed.
Okay.
Right. And you know, he was getting animated. She was saying, you know, because what, this is the truth. We're coming out here to push the truth. You know.
Hey, whether people like it or they don't.
You know.
Right.
So, and what, this is our hell, you know? People got to get over, you know, trusting in this place, America, you know? They got to give this place up. They got to give their life up, you know? That's what they got to do, because America will be destroyed. Soon come, right?
It's like, we came over there, there was nobody over there. But as soon as right before we started, everybody want to come up. Man, they picked the wrong time.
This is Psalms 20 and 7. It says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, right? Because what all these people, you know, sometimes people think about their escape plan. You know, oh, if there's a fire, we're gonna do this and that, like that, you know? Or a school shooting, they got little programs set up, you know, where kids know what to do, you know, and such like that. Or if all hell breaks loose, oh, we're gonna go to the bunkers, you know, we're gonna load up in a car and we're gonna drive to the coast, you know?
We're gonna bug out.
Con. You know, hey, I got my choppers, you know, and we're gonna go, you know, we're gonna loot, we're gonna do anything, you know? But that's trusting in these chariots, that's trusting in yourself, you know? It says some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our power, which is Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, right? Because without those names, you have nothing. At this time, if you don't know those names, you know, you're not, you haven't sacrificed anything to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. You're really out here bare, you know, you're out here naked, you know?
Hey, I got a question.
Let me finish. It says they are brought down and fallen, right? So they're not gonna make it. But we are risen and stand upright, right? That's because our minds are clean, you know? And we're actually gonna rise up out of here, you know? We're actually gonna be delivered, right? Save, Lord. Let the King hear us when we call, and the King is Yahweh Shai, you know? Oh, you got it, that's it.
This is Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10. The name of the Lord is a strong tower.
God,
The righteous runneth into it and is safe.
God. The righteous. There's only, because that's why I had to tell that kid. He said that, you know, his lineage is, you know, geniuses and such. And I'm not knocking his ancestors because, you know, they're Jakes, you know. But at the time, it's like, you gotta be able to get this information. If you can't get this information, you're just like anyone out here in these streets, you know. The Most High has to bless you with this knowledge, not the knowledge of the world, you know.
You know, I gotta load that one.
God.
This is 1 Corinthians. I probably got two of them. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. Right? So you can know a lot of things on this side, but if you don't got the knowledge of these scriptures,
You're done.
right. Come. Let me get this one last one. Let's see. This is 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 21. For after that, in the wisdom of the Most High, the world by wisdom knew not the Most High. It pleased the Most High by the foolishness.
Because how you gonna know all this information, but you know he didn't. You know this might be the first time he really hearing about it. He did stop, you know, and he did, you know, get it. He was excited about this truth, you know. But before this, you know, he was shaving his beard, you know. He's talking about his different, what was it, his grandma and them were Masons and such like
Masons
that.
and Eastern Stars.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not, you know, that's because your whole life was filled with this wickedness. You know, now you gotta actually drain all that knowledge, you know, and fill it up with the scriptures. You know, fill it up with Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. You know, right, for this salvation, and that's the smart thing to do. You know.